Hello, and thanks for joining me today for this little ELDOA Express video for your hips and lower back. We're going to begin in standing and finding our posture. Feet are hips width apart, outer edges of the feet are parallel to one another, kneecaps straight ahead, two sides of the pelvis straight ahead, two eyes straight ahead. With a little bend in your knees, begin to do anterior and posterior tilting, that forward and backward tilting of your pelvis. Anterior is forward, posterior back. And then we're going to find our neutral where your pubic bone is parallel to the wall in front, sacrum parallel to the wall behind. Hold that as you bend and straighten your knees. Good, then hold the neutral pelvis, hold a little bend in your knees and begin to roll through your feet as you hold your pelvis stable. And now start to feel a sense of reaching up through the crown of your head and begin to let your arms swing alongside your body. And from there, we'll take it to a march in place. And as you're marching in place, continue to keep that little posterior tilt that allows your lower back to be in an elongated position. Chin is retracted back, base of the skull and crown lift to the sky. Begin to think about your spine as a tensioned out guitar string on the guitar and perfectly tuned. I'm going to try to maintain awareness of that lengthening up as well as a lengthening down as you move through the practice today. You're also going to do your best to keep an awareness of your breath, moving in through your nose and ideally moving out through your nose. Just a gentle breath. Okay, it might be a little more powerful at times, but it's not a short, choppy breath. So take your knees up a little higher, above your waistband if you can. Maybe place your hands on your hips, slow it down, get your knees a little higher. Keep growing tall so that you don't shrink as you lift your leg. Take your knees high and wide. Feel that your heel is going to come up and touch your sit bone. Take your knees across your body as if you're bringing them up to your opposite shoulder. And then we're going to kick the heels back to the butt. Keep your pubic bone zipped up. Keep your spine growing tall. And then from that position, step the feet wide. Turn the toes out. 1, 2 step your feet wide. Do a bit of anterior and posterior tilting. Find where that middle place is, that kind of neutral zone. And now continuing to reach through the crown of your head, let's go up and down. And as we go down, the knees press out, but your heels push down. Okay, 2 directions, heels down, shins out, sit bones drop, and they spread. Still reaching crown tall. Take your arms out in front of you. With that external rotation of your arms, the extension of your wrists, we call the aldoa arms. Keep retracting face back. 3 more. Don't forget to breathe, that smooth breath. Last one, come all the way up. Pivot your heels in with your knees continuing to stay bent. Let's go back to anterior and posterior tilting. Remembering as we do this, focus on using lower belly muscles, not your butt, to do your posterior tilt. Hold the posterior tilt. Reach the crown of the head up, to tensioning out your guitar string-like spine. Arms extend out, extend the wrist. Without moving your pelvis, translate side to center, so right to center. Very subtly lean back into your stance so that your toes aren't gripping the earth. And now go left and center. Again, keep remembering, rise up, because if you don't, we sink and we compress that space between the vertebrae. Part of this practice is about creating space. So rise up, breathe, side to side. Now hold over on your right, side bend, come to center for 3, 2, 1, and translate. And then we come back to your left and hold. Here's 3, and 2, and 1. Back to translation. You got it. And then come back to center, hands on your hips with your knees bent. Back to anterior and posterior tilting. And then we're going to find our neutral pelvis. Crown to the sky, and then shimmy your feet back together, hips width. Pivoting on your right foot, internal and external rotation of your right hip. Notice the pelvis stays straight ahead. Be strong and engaged into your standing leg. So not this, strong and engaged. Notice how I got taller when I did that. Right here, I can still do it, but I'm not bringing in the stability of my standing leg. Same thing on the other side, root down into the right foot, pivoting on your left. Big toe, the pelvis stays straight ahead. Internal and external rotation of your hip joint. Not a pelvic rotation. So the pelvis stays straight ahead. Couple more. Slow it down a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Good. And then from here, big step over with your right leg and forth. Do that about 3 or 4 times, big step over. Try to get it up high so that when you're 90 years old, you can still lift your leg that high. Last one. Bring it back. Same thing on the other side. Don't forget, stand strong into your standing leg so we build some strength in that standing hip. Okay, reach up through the crown of your head. If you're really wobbly here, just simply hold on to a wall or a piece of furniture. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's actually preferred, and then your hip will move better. Come back to center. All right, from here, take those feet wide again, then turn them out. Find your neutral, and now drop down a little slower this time. Let's go for 5. Think about your shins pressing apart, your sit bones spread. Here's 3. Crown to the sky. Maybe arms come out, or you hold on to a chair here. 2. Last one. Good. Come all the way up. Narrow your stance a little bit. And from here, we're going to hinge at your hips. So you're going to push your butt back. Notice my knees stay bent. My sit bones spread. And we take the arms overhead 3 times. Here's 2. And then last one. Come all the way up. Pause for a moment. Find your nice tall posture. Feet root. Pubic bone lifts. Crown lifts. Inhale, exhale, drop the chin to the chest. We're going to transition to the floor. Relax to the head. Relax to the shoulders, the arms, exhaling, rolling all the way down with your fingertips on the floor. Bend your knees and deepen that squat. Practice getting low a few times. Do your best to keep your arms straight here. Maybe you give yourself a little hold at the bottom. Elbows can press into knees, collarbones lift, crown extends to the sky. Inhale, exhale, walk your hands forward. Take a breath or 2 into your bra strap area. And then as you're ready, you can walk yourself into a downward dog or meet me on all 4s. So as we come into this position, maybe downward dog, knees to the floor. Let's do a little anterior and posterior tilt. Hold your anterior tilt, rock and back and forth a few times. Try to keep that arch in your lower back. That's very important. Notice my butt doesn't touch the heels. I don't want it to here. It's a different effect. Okay, so now press the tops of the shins down, round your spine into flexion, cat wave back. Now we round the spine. Anterior tilt, come forward. One more time. Exhale, round into flexion, go back. Settle into child's pose for a breath or 2. And with your inhale, roll yourself all the way up, bringing yourself into this hinge position, just like we did in standing 3 times. Here's 2, sit bones spread. Notice my spine is long. Last one. Come all the way up. Bring your right leg forward, half kneeling. Back into anterior and posterior tilting. Okay. Again, get something to hold on to if you're unstable here. It's very important that your brain feels safe and stable as you practice. Hold the posterior tilt. Root the left shin down. Engage that left butt muscle. Inhale, take both arms up, if that's available to you. If you're wobbly, keep holding on and keep working on opening the front of the pelvis. We're trying to keep this in a vertical alignment here. Feel as if you're trying to drive the left shin straight down through the floor. The right foot is a strong anchor. Take your right arm straight out, extend it parallel to that right thigh. And imagine for a moment I came up beside you and I tried to move your right knee. Make sure it's locked in place and it's not wobbling. That'll help with your balance. Take a few more breaths. Again, root into left knee, strong posterior tilt. And then inhale, both arms come up. We're going to take a side bend over to your right. So if your right leg is forward, your side bending right. Stretch your right arm out, come up. Let your left arm float down. Take a side bend, see how far you can go. Don't forget about your right foot rooting. Inhale, rise up. From here, hands at your hips. Hinge back with your hips. Straight spine. Come back up to vertical. 2 more times. Slow hinge. Notice my front foot stays anchored. I'm not worried about straightening this front knee. It's not about a hamstring stretch. Now hinge forward. Bring your hands to the floor. And let's step your right leg back. Find a nice strong flexion of your spine. And then transition through a cat wave. Anterior tilt, straighten out the spine. Inhale, come forward. Repeating that sequence on the second side. So left leg is forward. With the left leg forward, I'm gonna start doing an anterior and posterior tilt. And as we start moving, we're mindful of the rooting. Anything that's touching the earth is gonna help you anchor. So root into your right shin, root into the front foot. Make sure this leg doesn't move around. Find a posterior tilt. Engage your right glute to help you hold it. And the more you engage that glute, the more you're gonna feel this stretch intensify. So use that as needed. Long guitar string spine. Either taking one arm out if you're holding on for stability, or both arms. Let's inhale and come up. Take a few breaths here to really elongate. We're striving to get a nice straight line between arm, torso, down through thigh. And you gotta keep working it. It's not like you get there and you sink into it. I want you to keep trying to get taller. Continue to try to root down through the knee. Keep some awareness in your breath. Take a couple of more breaths here. And then we're gonna do the side bend. So arms come up. If your left leg's forward, side bend to that direction first. Root down into your right knee. Inhale, rise up through left arm, lengthen, pause, regain your composure before you switch sides. Same thing to the other side. And inhaling, rising up. Some of you might be going to the floor like you did before. And then we come all the way up, hands at the hips, we hinge back, and we come forward. Okay, this isn't about mobilizing the front hamstring and getting more length there. It's more about your left hip, right hip kind of connection. And then you're gonna hinge. Notice my straight spine, right? I'm not here. If I'm here, I'm mobilizing my spine, but my hip isn't quite mobilizing as much as I want. Hands to the floor, both knees back, nice slow cat wave. All the way back. If that felt good, do it again. And then take a moment to settle into a child's pose with your knees nice and wide. Arms can be actively reaching forward. Take a few breaths here. And finding a little more ease around your breath. So as we transition to the aldoa, you've got a deeper connection with breath to complement that awareness you've created through your spine and your hips. Next, inhale, rise up. Let's come into a seated position. We're gonna come into the L4, L5 aldoa. So set it up so you have about a fist space between your heels. 90 degrees at your knees. Pull the flesh of the buttocks out of the way so you can feel your sit bones. Let them be a point of contact, rooting down like two nails going down into the earth, connecting your yoga mat to the earth. Tapping on the crown of the head, reach the crown of the head further away from your yoga mat. Continue to keep that active elongation as you move through this. Okay, take your arms out, finding your aldoa arms, external rotation of the shoulders, extension of the wrist, palms push forward, but spine rises tall. Palms, arms, and shoulder blades press forward. Okay, so now that we've got the arms and spine, let's bring some awareness to the legs. Pull your toes back towards you. Push your knees down, but don't lose your height, rise up. Gaze point's important here too, so we're gonna keep the chin retracted back. Without moving the head, drop your eyes down to the floor about 5 feet in front of you. Hold there and breathe. Bring it all together. Toes pull back. Knees push down. Spine rises up. Remember, spine, we're trying to go straight, like a guitar string here. Okay, that's what gets the aldoa-like effect. Guitar strings don't have neutral curves. If they did, they wouldn't make music. So find your gaze point. Deepen your breath. And let's inhale, take both arms up to the sky. Ideally, they're alongside your ears if possible. The wrists are an extension, and we're lifting the clouds with our palms. As you exhale, press your sit bones down as if you're holding your mat firmly down on the earth. Your knees press down to help with that. Your toes are pulling back toward your knees. Feel the lower half of your body. Take a few breaths, and as you exhale, fully connect with feet. Toes pulling back, knees down, sit bones down. And now keep some awareness there. Inhale, imagine I'm tapping right on the crown of your head. I want you to reach up through the crown. As you inhale, keep the reach as you exhale, eyes down. And now find your arms, more external rotation, so fingers point to side walls. Inhale, lift up a little higher, exhale a little higher. Give me 2 more breaths. And we'll soften the arms first, then the legs. Then the spine, posterior tilt, roll it back into flexion. Inhale, open up into extension. One more time, exhale, rounding into flexion. Inhale, opening into extension. Coming into a seated position with knees up to the sky, spine tall, elbows pressed wide. Inhale, and as you exhale, roll back into a posterior tilt and release. We're gonna move with the exhalations, which means you're gonna do a posterior tilt. Exhale, keep exhaling as you come to neutral. Inhale to elongate. So it's inhale, okay? I'm only exhaling out through my mouth so you can hear me and you have a little bit of cueing, but I want you to try to exhale through your nose as you go back. Keep exhaling as you come up, inhale. Let's do 5 more. Okay, notice my arms don't move. Okay, I don't want to go all the way back. I don't want to make the movement that big because I want to isolate this movement in the lower spine. Last one, roll back. Now straighten your arms. Now release. Roll all the way onto your back. Take a moment to stretch your body long, like you're doing your aldoa on the floor. Press your heels away from you. Press your palms away from you. Drop your chin. Gaze down towards your toes. And now pull your bottom front ribs down towards the floor. And stretch through heels, reach through palms. Try to keep your bottom back rib cage on the floor. You'll feel things a little differently. One more breath. Maintain the length of the spine, one at a time. Bend the knees, feet flat. Release the arms. Pull the knees into chest, pull them wide. So first into chest, and then wide. Flatten your pockets, flatten your sacrum, your waistband, your lower back, your bottom ribs. Use the floor to iron your spine and your ribs back into a nice elongated position. Relax your jaw, your eyes, your face. And then as you're ready, you can pull your knees back in. Release feet to the floor and let the knees collapse inward on one another and take a moment to just rest. As you exhale, let the bones of your body be heavy and sink. Inhale, exhale, relax the belly. Inhale, making your exhale a little quieter. Exhale, the eyes, temples, the jaw, all the muscles in your face. Inhaling deeply, exhaling a little slower, nice and quietly. Let your shoulders sink. And let your breath release any tension on your exhalations. See if you can relax another layer of tension into your eyes, your jaw. Soften all the way down into your hips. And feel the breath in, slightly elongated exhale out. And giving yourself the opportunity to come back into a resting position and assess the changes in your body that were created from that movement practice we just did. Notice the changes so that way when you get up and move into the rest of your day, you can bring that awareness and those changes with you. So feel free to rest here a little longer. Or if you're ready to come up with me, you can draw knees into chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. Bringing yourself all the way up to seated. As you come into seated and move into the rest of your day, just be mindful. How do those hips feel? How did this practice affect you? So in the future, when you're feeling tension or tightness in those areas of the body, you will now hopefully remember that I've given you some tools to help. And if you can't recreate them on your own, just simply come back to this video and do it again. Thanks for being here with me today. Until next time.